There you see the bracket for the top 8 of this Larsen restored top 8 draft here in the quarterfinals of Grand Prix Malmo 2012 with me, Rich Hagan, and him, Nate Price. Welcome along. We're going to start with our first quarterfinal. It is going to feature Jasper Grimmer of Germany and Søren Larsen of Denmark. So there you see Jasper Grimmer, the German. He's playing black-white. It's a kind of mid-rangey affair and elements of loner. And then on the other side from Denmark, just across the Øresund Bridge, I think that's the name of it, is Søren Larsen from Denmark, green-white, mid-range but heading towards control. This could get pretty grindy, Nate Price.
Yes, this is probably going to be the longest match we have in top 8. At least I would expect it to be based on seeing the players' deck list, seeing how they put them together. They're both very good decks. It's interesting that they got matched up together because Larsen's deck is significantly better matched against some of the black-red aggro decks that we've seen some of the other players have drafted in top 8. Against Grimmer's slower, more controlling, grindy deck, I'm gonna lean towards the recurring power that some of Grimmer's cards have. For example, the big one that I'm looking at seeing get into play is Demonic Rising.
Yeah, because basically, if you're a controlly deck, every time you get Grimmer down to precisely one creature, and there's going to be another one coming along. It'll be a 5/5 demon. And if you get him down to 0 creatures, as soon as he plays 1, then he gets a second, it's a 5/5 demon.
Yes.
And if he's got more than one creature, well, what happened to the controlling the board?
Yes.
So, that could be a little awkward.
The one thing that Grimmer has against him as far as this goes, he really only has a Bloodflow Connoisseur as a method of controlling his own number of creatures on the table.
Right, so he is more dependent on actual card interaction with his opponent.
Certainly. On the other side, you get Larsen, who's got a very tricksy deck. He's running copies of Cloud Shift. He's got Defang in his deck to make sure that his opponent's creatures don't do too much, but Righteous Blow, Zealous Strike. His big thing is going to be setting up behind a couple of walls, waiting for the longer game. And those walls actually are kind of important in this matchup because Grimmer does have some removal spells, but a lot of them are sacrifice-based, and those extra walls, which really don't do much against Grimmer's slower deck, they're not as dead in this matchup as you'd expect them to be.
Okay. So as you can see, the players are still resolving their mulligans. This is, in all fairness, you can't cope this, a very, very inexperienced top 8. I went through. Only Oscar Almgren has any Pro Tour experience outside Samuele Estrati. None of them have a Grand Prix top 8 outside Samuele Estrati. Yeah. This is... I wouldn't say it was Estrati's to lose because we've seen Shuhei Nakamura plus 7 debutantes and countless times like it through Magic history, and there's a reason you play the game. It isn't all done on reputation, thank goodness. Nonetheless, Estrati is quite clearly the man with the track record in this group of 8.
It is interesting that you should mention that Almgren was the other player who had top 8 experience. I think I might have actually been able to pick that out having sat down and watched them all draft. A lot of the players had the typical first top 8 like jitters in their hands as they were drafting, a little bit of impatience,
sure.
And Almgren definitely seemed far more comfortable than most of the other players. Than other than Mr. Leather Jacket himself, the wonderful Samuele Estrati.
So that's going to be a mulligan from Søren Larsen. He had one of those grins that we sometimes refer to as sickly. Just taking a look at Almgren's stats from down the years for you. So, played 3 Pro Tours total. So we pick it out. He was at Pro Tour Philadelphia in 2011, where he was 390th, which, isn't precisely stellar. But we'll see where else we can find Oscar for you. As we head back in time, doing the Pro Tour time machine. We go up to Pro Tour Boston, 2003. He was part of a team that played there, so almost a decade ago. And that's what you talk about, the experience. And then in 2008, played in the Pro Tour Berlin which was won by Louis Scott Vargas. He finished 158th there, so
Not shabby.
again, not a lot of experience to go around. But someone here is going to be a Grand Prix winner by the end. So let's find out who, as Grimmer kicks off with Crypt Creeper.
Grimmer doesn't have too many aggressive drops in his deck, but he does have a pair of Crypt Creepers that it's nice to see hit the table early.
He attacks for 2. You notice Larsen did not lay a second land. Third land for Grimmer.
Go ahead.
But he doesn't have a play, which might let Soren Larsen a little bit back into the match. Yes, there's a minor earthquake going on. Sorry about that. But soon the earth will subside and you'll be able to continue watching Magic the Gathering with us here in Malmo, Sweden. Larsen, land number 2. He's got 2 colours of mana. This is good. We like to see Magic being played. And it's Thraben Valiant. Grimmer has a quick look at the old Miracle mechanic, but either didn't draw one or certainly chose not to reveal that he'd drawn one.
Yeah, he actually does not have any miracles in his deck. But at
So
the same
he's
time,
just running the Miracles.
yeah.
Sure. I believe this is going to be a mid-vast protector. It is. Give Crypt Creeper protection from white. And here we go for the next couple of damage.
There's no reason not to spend every draw step as like it's a miracle, especially if you're playing like one of the miracle colors. I mean, mono black is pretty much the only person who has no business trying to pretend like he might have a miracle.
Yeah, I'd want to do that just to pretend, really.
Yeah.
Just for the fun of it. Get the practice in.
Yeah.
Is it a miracle? Oh, I'm so unlucky.
Well, Larsen attacks in with his 2/1 Thraben Valiant, and Grimmer smartly chooses not to block. That he's going to get far more mileage out of that protector, providing his creatures.
Ghoul Flesh.
Oh,
This
wow.
one.
Is it a Ghoul Flesh? Looks like. Ghoul Flesh is one of those removal cards, kind of like Guys of Flame, or Guys of Fire. I mean, that -1 toughness actually, it's a removal spell. It kills a lot of very important cards in this format.
Go ahead.
And Grimmer actually chooses to pass with 4 mana available. And Larsen-
For all that we're in a less horrific setting, it is fair to say that Ghoul Flesh has one of the nastiest flavor texts around. You look at the picture and you see like a guy sitting in a chair and you think, what is this? How is this removal? It doesn't feel like an action-packed thing. And it's no, it says, the body dies in stages. First the skin, then the muscle. The brain is last, much to the victim's dismay.
Yeah, that artwork is awesome. So it's that Igor Kier look.
Go ahead.
Yep, it
Yeah.
is. It is indeed.
I got to visit with him at a German or Japanese Grand Prix that I was at. He's a really cool guy. Excellent work. So Grimmer has attacked in, and the Angelic Wall stops one of the 2 attackers. The wall's not going to be quite as effective as he would like to be, because Grimmer has the ability to give creatures protection from white, but you can't give them all protection from white.
Yeah.
Follows it up. Is that
That's
a Moonlight Geist on Grimmer's side? I believe so. And then Larsen also has a, is it a Borderland Ranger? Getting a Planeswalker deck, so.
So we see 2/1 flyer, 2/1, 2/3 mid-vast protector.
Oh. My mistake, yeah. So the Midvast Protector only gives protection upon entering the field. I get his ability in the +1/+1 to all of your creatures whenever any creature comes into play.
Oh, Cathar's Crusade?
Yeah, like the scope of their abilities combined.
Jelly Wall on Borderland Ranger, and Borderland Ranger again doing sterling work to undo mana issues.
In addition, I mean, he's not going to be able to stop that Protector, but that Crypt Creeper is going to be a fun little trade. Although we have seen that Grimmer does have multiple cards, a couple of Righteous Blows. Make sure that he gets in and gets past.
Yeah, the Midvast Protector, just a one-shot deal. You see in the background, Samuel Estrati is 1-0 up on Matteo Versari.
You know what? I actually misspoke. I found a miracle card in Grimmer's deck.
Hmm?
Yeah, Grimmer has a single copy of Vanishing Stroke, which
Okay.
I missed. So he isn't just checking for value. You see Grimmer contemplating.
And he's going to send in. So, one white open.
Finds himself unwilling to trade off that Crypt Creeper for the tracker. Is that a Riders of Gavany I see about to come down?
Looks like it certainly is.
Curious.
Vigilant,
Go ahead.
3/3.
Always selects human.
I guess that's what he's gone for.
It might be better for him to select a wall at this point, although more of Larsen's creatures are going to be humans if he's playing
Oh,
green
look,
white.
that's handy.
Yep, probably right.
Human! Thanks.
It's the first time anybody's done that all weekend long.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
That is really good. It's like learn to read flashcards.
Yeah.
So now, Soren Larsen.
It's going to be a mid-vast protector of his own.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. He is pretty deliberate about, because that 4-mana has been tapped for a while.
He's finding himself on the back foot. Okay,
Good
so
one.
Seraph of
Seraph
Dawn leaves him 1 mana open. He passes.
Seraph of Dawn is a really big player right here.
So she is not human.
No, she's perfectly capable of blocking any of the creatures that Grimmer wants to throw her way. In addition, the single-digit life hole that Larsen has found himself in, as long as that Seraph of Dawn gets to deal some damage, that lifelink is going to pull him right back out of it. It's not his only copy of the Seraph of Dawn. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he has 2 copies
Okay.
as well. So
That Frank Carson's just stolen the deck lists. It's disgraceful.
it's okay. Steel Trap. Got it all up here.
Got it all. Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Third or fourth time this weekend we've done something physical that can only be faintly heard by those at home. Grimmer has to seriously consider his attacks here, because if he... I mean, there isn't a single good attack as it lies right now.
Mm-hmm. So he's going to set himself up. There's Gold Knight Commander.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And at the point at which he now makes a creature, the Riders of Gavany, for example, will be 4/4.
Yeah.
The Midvast will be 3/4.
Yeah, at that point, attacking becomes perfectly reasonable
Yes.
with all of his creatures. Yeah.
Although because of the Seraph of Dawn, he doesn't necessarily gain an awful lot from that overall.
True, but
When you put an Angelic Wall in front of a 3-power flyer, so that they just bounce off each other. You put a 3/4 in front of a 2/4 and you gain 2 life, and
you have to. You'll be taking 4 from the Riders of Gavany, so you're still ahead. And in addition,
sure.
your Crypt
Oh,
Creeper.
hello.
No, that actually throws a big monkey wrench into the works.
Yeah.
He still does have the ability. I mean, at this point, he can play a creature. Those Riders of Gavany they're attacking. Like, there's no reason not to attack with them. So, unless he fears a pump spell or a righteous blow from Larsen, which at this point, like, those Riders they're not doing as much as he would like, but they're his real only threat at this point. I seriously don't think if you see your opponent playing Angelic Walls in his deck, especially 2 of them, that you can sit back and expect the long-term game to be good for you.
But what else can he do? I mean, he doesn't have any good attacks there. Certainly not without playing a creature.
Right. Without playing
That
a creature,
changes
there's
with a creature.
Exactly. If he played a creature, he could certainly get in with at least the Riders of Gavany. Well, Larsen's walls, exactly as they're intended to do, providing him just enough time to start crawling back out of the hole that his mulligan and subsequent mana screw had put him into.
And a bit of soul bond action. Nightshade Peddler. Bonded up with the Seraph of Dawn.
Right now there's a problem.
Oh yeah.
That is a trade that I would be perfectly willing to make if I were Soren Larsen.
Pass the turn. I guess it's possible that Grimmer, well, you said that he had a fair few early drops. Potentially, since the board is, for all it looks on the table like there's plenty on both sides, in terms of threats, Larsen has very little at the moment, and Jasper's back up at 18.
Yeah.
So potentially, Grimmer is stockpiling creatures in order to have a turn that involves
3 cards?
creature, let's say for 7 mana, a 2, a 2, and a 3.
Yeah.
And then his 5 guys would get +3/+3.
Yes.
And that would be enough to swing in and completely change the complexion of the game.
Exactly. And that's the best part about that is, like, in addition to forcing your opponent into a situation where they have to block, you're going to be decimating their side of the board, making every turn that follows just that much better for you.
Yeah.
He also is at 6 mana, and Banishing Stroke does cost 6. I mean, I haven't been able to see any of the last couple of cards that he's drawn. He's drawn them so quickly and put them face down, so it's possible that's something that he's...
This is the well-known comedy. I have an ability that requires me to do something, but we both know it's not relevant. So I'll choose Disco Dance, this one.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Goose.
And back we go. But again, he laid a land. He clearly hasn't drawn land the last couple of turns, it seems to me, because as soon as he drew the land, it was like, get that into play. Feels to me like we're setting up for Gold Knight Commander Gold Rush action.
You know, he does. He has a Marrow Bats in his deck as well, which...
4/1 flyer, pay 4 life to regenerate?
Yeah, which, I mean, at this point, he's high enough in life that it might be worth it. I mean, if he gets it, he can shove through that Seraph and still survive through the Death Touch.
So Larsen will now run out Geist Trappers.
Well, there goes that plan.
Oh, curse you, Nate Price.
Yeah.
It's all your fault.
Every time I've provided a plan for him, Larsen has just thrown a kink in his work.
Yep.
This is why I described his deck as like a mid-range control deck. Like, this is exactly why.
Grimmer just passes. Larsen just passes.
What's Larsen's big finish? He's got a pair of Gryff Vanguards.
He has Soul of the Harvest.
And Soul to Harvest. That's going to be,
you know, pretty reasonable.
Yeah, but at this point in the game, even like Soul to Harvest is a 6/6 body. He's most of the way. Like they've got enough creatures on board.
Now in the quarterfinals, let's not speak about semis or finals just yet. Here's his big finisher. It's Farbog Explorer.
There we go.
Because I can count a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swamps on the other side.
5 swamps.
That's enough. That's very good.
He also has Cathar's Crusade, which...
Oh, wow.
I'm curious as to, like, with the board state as it is right now, I don't know if he necessarily needs to continue to add, like, the layers of depth that he's got by, you know, adding the Geist Trapper to his team. So he might have been better served holding on to it.
So... we have a phrase in my regular play group. Look how long it took me to kill him.
Yeah.
And that comes from the games where someone plays all the life gain spells in the world.
Yeah.
And they get to, you know, 57. But once all that's done, you get their 2/1/1s out of the way, and then you hit them for 12, 12, 14, 18, and 26.
Yeah.
And then you go, look how long it took me to kill him. Jasper's up to 28. He's just Gold Knight Redeemed.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, from Soren's point of view, if he does win this, look how long. Farbog Explorer, it's a 14-turn clock.
Bats? Yep. Trigger? Yep.
And I do believe we have some bats. That'll be flying and pay 4 life and regenerate.
Yep. And here he comes over for 5. Big enough to get through the Geist Trappers. Big enough to get through any of the blockers he wants to put in the way. So Soren is put to the decision of whether or not he wants to lose that Death Knight creature. Or Death Touch creature, sorry. And looks like
And it's going to be Zealous Persecution. Have I just made that card name up?
yes, you
Zealous Strike.
You're 50% of the way there, though.
Yeah, let's call it Zealous Strike, and then people will know what we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, the first limited format, or first limited event to play this format was last week, so...
That's no excuse. I'm sorry about that. It's been a long weekend, boys and girls.
Yeah.
You'll keep me straight, I know. Zealous Strike, +2/+2, first strike to land a turn.
First strike and Death Touch is a reasonable combination, so I've heard.
Apparently quite a good conversation as well.
It's a wonderful conversation. Look at the one we're having right now.
Indeed. First strike and death touch,
By
really?
death on the Redeemer.
No, but that Golden Knight Redeemer is going to
Come back
defy death.
and be much bigger.
And on top of that, it also makes his bats a 5-powered creature for the turn.
Okay, clever.
Right?
Yeah, and I wonder what he could possibly
yeah.
do with all of that life and a creature that's large enough to attack to his opponent's team but requires life to regenerate.
Wow, that's like a combo.
Yeah.
Attack.
So the Marabats come in. Be interested to see if we can get some updates from the other tables while we're watching this one. See what else is going on.
Grimmer is currently at the completely reasonable life total of 40. He's, I guess, attempting to play double magic right now.
Might send our roving reporter Dave Barrow over to the feature match area to get the current scores in the other quarterfinals.
This is one of those games where the board looks incredibly cluttered. There's a lot out there, but it really is only a couple of cards that matter on either side.
Yeah, there's 32 permanents in play right now.
Yeah.
That is a lot. We'll be zooming out soon.
Yeah. Sorry guys, time to play on level 2.
Take 5. Go to 7.
But unlike the Nico Boni game we saw this morning, there is no Crater Hoof Behemoth coming.
No.
This is not a game with
Maybe
utter
give me
inevitability
another
for Larsen,
Larsen
who sits 40-7 behind.
It was that match I had in mind when I went hunting for what his big finisher was.
Yeah.
3 cards?
This is just inching and inching.
Like through.
And we
further
have
and
some
further out of Larsen's reach.
updates coming up. Right now, Oskar Almgren of Sweden leads Westberg 1-0. So that's Black-Red Aggro leading over Blue-Green Tempo. David Helander of Sweden, Blue-Green Aggro against Perez Limos Montal of Spain with Blue-Green Soulbond. It's Limos who leads there 1-0. I can tell you that in the all-Italian affair, Samuele Estrati against Matteo Vesari, Estrati we saw take the lead. It's now 1-1. Blue-green with a splash of red mid-range, coming back to equalise against red-black aggro. And in the fourth quarter-final, oh, this sounds interesting. Jasper Grimmer and Soren Larsen, they're still at 0-0.
Clever.
So thanks today for that.
Sure.
Griff Vanguard, action hero.
Larsen made an interesting decision last turn when he was attacked by that 6/6 flying Redeemer now.
Mm-hmm.
And chose to block it, chump block it with a wall instead of just attempting to take care of it at that point with his Death-touched Angel. Death is Seraph's name.
40-7.
Although I guess at this point, yeah, I'm actually not 100% positive why he did that. I'll look through and try to figure it out.
In terms of cards, let's think about libraries for a moment.
Sure.
Because there's no guarantee that Farbog Explorer is going to arrive in time.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, let's face it, currently, unless it gets bigger, it won't be in time.
Yeah.
Because it's a 20-turn hit right now. So, who's been drawing the cards? Who's going to ultimately run out of gas? I think the answer to that is Soren, isn't it?
Yeah, he did mulligan, which puts him down,
Of
but
course.
at the same time he's pulled an
Yeah.
extra card out with his tracker as well.
Borderland Ranger. Yeah.
Ranger, as well as the extra card off of the
No,
Vanguard.
so that only puts him back 2. So.
Yep, sure. Draw.
18 left in
So
deck.
18 left for Jasper, we think. Right now.
Go ahead.
And there's 17 in play for Larsen. Add in. Hopefully it won't come to that.
Yeah. No, I mean, at this point it is a wholly reasonable outcome to this game. With 2 grinding, control-ish decks that, I mean, Larsen had, he set the line. Drawn the line down and said, come and get me. And
Yeah. It's anytime you go Angelic Wall, even the most basic of opponent, which Jasper Grimmer isn't, is going to understand what's going on. There's no way they play offense and defense.
Yeah. makes you wonder where the threshold is, where people start seriously considering. And there we have another potential route to Larsen decking himself.
Oh, and Matteo Vasari, you see in the background, Infinite Reflection on Gang of Devils for the win. So Vasari defeats Estrati, the Pro Tour Philadelphia champion is out, but there is an Italian through both to the semi-finals and to the Pro Tour return to Ravnica in the autumn in Seattle. So congratulations to Matteo Vasari, defeating Samuel Estrati by 2-1.
Well, as we continue to test the limits of your ability to process 17,000 permanents at the same time, Grimmer is going to continue to attack that 6/6. Obviously, no reason not to. Now Larsen's starting to get cheeky.
Okay, Soul of the Harvest. The reason it's good, apart from being big, is that it gives you card advantage. Because you cast creatures, you make more creatures. In this game, isn't that a route to certain death?
At this point, actually from about 6 or 7 turns ago, I think that was probably the case.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious as to why Larsen didn't originally make a trade with his Seraph, because getting the ability to...
He's going for it.
Yeah.
He's going, yeah, I'm going to Cloud Shift my Griff Vanguard, I'm going to bring that back, I'm going to draw off Soul of the Harvest. I am actually going to try and beat you with the cards that are in my deck. We've got more results coming in. Results? We're in game 1. Almgren 2, Black Red Aggro. John Westberg out, 0. So Black Red Aggro advances to the semi-finals in the form of Oscar Almgren.
Is that the Farbody Explorer that just came into play?
Oh, I do believe it is, yes.
Wonderful.
Wonderful in the sense of not terribly relevant, wonderful, or?
It's actually, it's a little more relevant than you'd think.
Okay.
Because he doesn't have very many cards left, but... Oh man, I guess he's going to need Cathar's Crusade and multiple creatures to come into play for that to really matter.
Okay, he's got a Defang, a Devout Chaplain we haven't seen. He has a Righteous Blow we haven't seen, a second Seraph of Dawn. He has a second Griff Vanguard we haven't seen.
And a lot of lands in his hand.
There's an Abundant Growth we haven't seen, don't think. Oh yes, that's up at the top, under the plains. Diagraph Escort. Trappers. There's a Joint Assault. I haven't seen that.
No. It's very rare that you can actually get to the point in the game where you're trying to figure out what your opponent or the players we're watching have left in their decks, because we can see every card that they have cast.
Yes. This is absurd.
Well, we knew we were getting the longest when we sat down and looked at these.
Yeah, but we were thinking maybe half an hour for the best of 3.
Yeah.
So Oscar Almgren, as I say, defeats John Westberg of Sweden by 2-0. I can tell you also that David Helander of Sweden, with his blue-green aggro deck, he has been outlasted by the blue-green Soulbond of Perez Limos Montal of Spain. So that is 2-0. So there goes there can be only one headline, because now there is only none for the Highlander headline. So he's gone. Perez Limos Montal advances.
Trigger.
And Grimmer continues to add more creatures to the board.
Now, it would not surprise me in the slightest if the tournament officials decided to run semi-final 2 while this was still in action. Because currently Matteo Vasari of Italy, with his blue-green splash red mid-range deck, is slated to meet Perez Limos Montal of Spain with blue-green Soulbond in the semi-finals, while Oscar Almgren may be able to get a couple of hours sleep before he plays the winner of Jasper Grimmer and Soren Larsen.
Alright, so the 6/6 comes in, and once again, and there's the Joint Assaults, pumping up both of the soul-bonded reach creatures that are blocking that 6/6 Angel.
Gosh, look how big I am.
And
Soul Cage Fiend still in play for Grimmer. Chance to push Larsen down some more.
yeah, I mean, if he continues to play, I mean, the thing is, if he plays a creature and gets in for 5, and like with the life total he's got, he's fully capable of regenerating those bats. Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
it's only a couple of turns before he's actually able to get through for meat. And at that point, I mean, one hit from that makes that Soul Cage Fiend lethal.
Yep.
We know he does have that Blood Flow Connoisseur left in his deck still to provide himself a way of getting it to die without having to
interact in the red zone.
Exactly.
Go.
So the board has cleared to be merely staggeringly complicated.
Yeah.
Well, staggeringly full at least.
Yes.
You could wallpaper several houses with the number of permanents in play. Farbog, Explorer, turn it sideways.
Sure.
I'm down to 38.
Step 1.
Tick, tick, boom. Second Seraph of Dawn.
Yep.
Let's see. Grimmer only has... Oh, never mind.
I'm trying to think what the end of that sentence could be. Grimmer only has a flight on Tuesday.
Yes, that is where I was going. I'm just looking at his permanents to see what flyers he has. And it's the Moonlit Geist and the Bats. And it might be almost to the point when Grimmer is capable of starting to send his flyers in.
Are we at a point where we're just waiting to find out where Cathar's Crusade is in Larsen's deck, and whether he has enough creatures left in his deck to actually make Cathar's Crusade get to a point where he does just outclass Grimmer's remaining troops?
I don't want to say that I think it might
1,
likely
2, 3,
be
4, 5,
past
6,
that
7, 8.
point.
There looks like 9 cards in the graveyard. 12, 17, 20, 23, 24, 25, 26, 28, 30.
Okay.
Looks to me like there's something like 33 cards either in the graveyard or in play for Larsen.
Yeah, Larsen has a few turns left, I guess.
many
If he,
cards
let's
do
see,
you
so we've got at least 4 dead creatures, 3 in play, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
I really recommend Revenge of the Hunted.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
1, 2, 3.
Not
4.
happening though. Larsen will send in the
Sure.
Farbog Explorer. Grimmer will
36.
fall to 36.
Yes.
This is a game, let's not forget, that Larsen began with 4 cards. Oh, well, Grimmer started with 5, so...
Looks like 9 cards left.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'll lay a land.
He's drawn a Banishing Stroke. I'm pretty, it looks fairly obvious that Grimmer is on the
Yes.
milieu.
Let's
not milieu,
just
but
put you to dead.
yeah.
Let's just watch you kill yourself.
Let's kill you in the longest way possible. But it was really interesting. I mean, it's been really interesting to watch how, as complicated as this board is, there are like 2 or 3 cards on each side that have really mattered at any given point, and what they are has changed as each turn has gone by.
Defang the Marrowbats.
That will definitely put a kink in the works.
And now, looks like some flyers are going to get involved.
Yeah, at this point there's no reason not to. I mean, that defang is really huge for Larsen. Although, Banishing Stroke is an instant and can target an enchantment and could prove to be, shall we say, a surprise.
Surprise!
These 2.
As we anticipated, they're going to start the semi-final on the other side of the bracket with Matteo Vasari of Italy against Perez Limos Montal of Spain.
I endorse this plan. Grimmer has drawn his card for the turn. It is a black card. If I'm, I wonder if that might have been the Blood Flow Connoisseur.
Jasper looking and looking.
Cards in hand?
Just the 13 land in play, so he's still got 4 to draw.
Well, that's not much.
Go ahead.
I think if Larsen does lose this game, he's been pretty unlucky because a Cathar's Crusade in that accelerated portion of the game where he was going with the Soul of the Harvest and draw and Griff Vanguard and Cloud Shift it and get more cards.
Yeah.
If he'd found the Cathar's Crusade any time at that portion of the game, I think he would have been able to accelerate away through Grimmer, and it would indeed have been, look how long it took me to kill him.
Yeah.
Whereas as it is, he may still have time to get there.
If this happens, this might be the exact moment that Grimmer's been looking for. Like, he has... If Larsen goes all out and attacks with all of his flyers, leaving back none of his defenders, Grimmer can Banishing... Okay, so he leaves 1 back. That's probably a good decision.
Good plan!
Yeah, Grimmer could have Banishing stroked the Defang, blocked one of them if he wanted to and traded it off, and the next turn swung back, assuming he has a creature in his hand, for 8 lethal damage. Except it wouldn't have been lethal because he gains 4, putting him up to 11. Oh, man. Math is hard.
Oh.
It is still very likely that he Banishing... No, he's not going to banish. Let's see, what does this leave Larsen behind for defense? Human. Is that an elemental, I'm assuming? Yeah. So all humans and an elemental back on the defense, and he still does have a Riders of Gavany set on human.
It is. It says so on the table.
That it does. It can be trusted.
This,
So here come the blocks. And of course we'll set up, prevent the damage
take 4.
on Moonlight Geist. Let me check the totals. Is Jasper Grimmer going to be below 30 life all of a sudden?
It does. Oh, okay.
That's interesting. So the Marabats goes to the graveyard. He chose not to pay 4 life to regenerate.
That seems like a terrible idea. Like, it wasn't it lethal there if he just Banishing strokes the how many humans does he have in play? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points of human damage right now. So I mean, if he has a creature, he can Banishing stroke the elemental out of the way and try to attack in for the win. It's going to require Larsen to not have anything.
It's Griff Vanguard. Card. The thing is, Grimmer is under no obligation to try and win the game in any way other than seeing those black cards at the top of your screen next to the purple cards go away entirely, revealing a table underneath them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all he has to do.
True. Albeit if my opponent gave me an opportunity to just kill them, I might take it. Although I mean, Larsen does have a large number of cards.
Yeah, and he's been out drawing Grimmer consistently since the mid game. So for all Grimmer is at 30, he is not the aggressor here, I don't believe. But we'll see. Maybe he's going to head in.
That's a good point. I mean, he does have. I mean, he has enough. If he has a creature in hand and the Banishing stroke, he might choose to banish away the Soul of the Harvest and play his creature to enhance the humans that he's got in play and try to attack with a win. But then again, you're right. He is also seems to have been playing to save that Banishing stroke for an opportunity to save himself in order to kill Larsen.
You see Larsen there, and he does looking a little bit unexcited about the universe.
Cards in hand?
Meanwhile, Grimmer is like, well, let's have a look through. Yeah, okay. Got that. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, yeah, just check those.
Wants to figure out about how many spells he thinks Larsen has left in his deck. Do a quick creature count, quick land count, try to figure out a rough estimate.
What haven't I seen? What makes you think you're going to nail me?
Yeah. Plus, I mean, at this point, if players were really paying attention to the booster draft, they have a good idea of what their opponents might potentially have.
So here's Crypt Creeper.
That will pump up his guys.
Yes.
Does
Thanks
he
to
make the move?
commander.
Yeah, he's making the move.
Okay. Showtime.
Yeah,
Possibly.
he's certainly thinking about it.
He's thinking about the possibility of a thing. And the thing is...
Double check, are they all humans? Yeah, human.
Yes. Banish that.
On the bottom of your library. Yep.
Okay. That is indeed, Rashad Miller, one more draw step. But is it going to be relevant?
Like to attack with my humans and my guy who makes me lose, or makes us both lose 3 life if he dies.
Because I'm 30-9 ahead right now.
Yep. It seems like bad news bears for Larsen, or I guess bad news ogres or giants. Alright, and that'll
There
do it.
we go.
Oh.
Grimmer the winner.
Oh, okay.
And in the duration of time it took all of the other matches to complete and
Macht's
get
gut, wir sehen uns
well
am
into
Mittwoch.
game 1 of the other semifinals.
So yeah, so we were
Ja,
kind
mein
of
Handy hat keinen Akku mehr,
1/9
aber
as fast as
irgendwie
the average game.
Yeah.
Because all the others were finished in... Oh, no, to be fair, it was 2-0, 2-0 and 2-1.
Yeah. But also, to be fair, the other decks are almost entirely all the aggro. We get like the 2 control decks of the draft managed to play each other in a quarterfinal match, which I'm sure they were both
Whose
pleased
idea
as
was
punch.
it? Whose idea was it to watch this one? Honestly, tell us, who was it, mate?
There is definitely one name of the 2 that are on the screen right now that is the one who made the decision, and
Okay.
it is probably the one on the top. But my eyes aren't too good. I'm not wearing my glasses right now,
Wow.
so it's probably my name.
Wow.
I blame Rashad. But no, Rashad would never do that to us. Rashad's giving you the death stare right now, Rich.
The Death Star?
Well, yeah, the Death Star.
Oh, the Death Stare.
Rashad's equivalent of it. I mean, Rashad's got the most loving death stare I've ever met in a... And he's giving him a wink, too. It is beautiful.
No, it really isn't. And I'm glad you're watching the table right now.
So, looking back to the sideboards that the players had to bring in... Oh, man. So, let's see. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's the plan? I mean, let's start with Soren Larsen. Part A. Let's have a Farbog Explorer sometime before turn 28.
That would be useful
Part
for
2.
him.
Let's have Cathars Crusade, which Grimmer has not seen,
Yes.
because the Cathars Crusade is in the bottom 3 cards of Soren Larsen's library.
Yep. Well, 4 counting.
Yeah. It was 38, 39, 40, and 27B
Yeah.
was what was left in the library.
Exactly.
If we're going to be picky, and we clearly are.
Yes.
So, Farbog Explorer is one route, Cathars Crusade is another. Because I do think that Cathars Crusade in that mid game, he took...
Oh, yeah.
That was clearly his choice, because when we saw the Harvest of the Soul come down, we said, you can either go for it, or it could be the death knell.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he felt he did have enough power to push through Grimmer.
Yeah.
And I don't, apart from not seeing the Cathars Crusade and the Farbog Explorer, I don't think he was particularly unlucky in his draws in that accelerated phase of the game for him. So he really does need the Swamp Walker, the Crusade. Those are the 2 that were really missing from the game plan that potentially would have given him the win. Yeah.
That's definitely the case. And like you said, anytime that he picks up that Crusade in the mid part of the game, it completely changes the complexion of the game. His sideboard doesn't really have a whole lot that is going to help him against Grimmer's deck. Like, he saw a couple of flyers that would make his eaten by spiders reasonable.
Sure.
But at the same time, the ones that he saw, one of them regenerated, and I guess he saw that one and the Moonlight Geist, and I don't know if it's necessarily worth bringing in to take care of that. Yeah. On the other side, I mean, you get... I guess one thing that he might potentially do, he's got a Wild Geist in his sideboard that, I mean, some desperately needed beef against that offense that are like, what Grimmer presented to him that game, which is a lot of small creatures that tended to kind of interact with each other and just stall the game out.
Yeah.
I mean, Grimmer's going to be looking this game to try to get out to, I mean, as fast a start as he's capable of. He really, really needs to find a way to deal with the flyers that he's facing. Like, that is his big problem. Like, getting those the 2/4 Seraphs into play, getting angelic walls into play, like, it completely shuts his offense down. And he does have ways to deal with them. He has Barter and Blood. Bloodflow Connoisseur could actually just be massive in this. Demonic Rising, if it hits the table and he's capable of clearing his way down, would have also completely changed the complexion of that game last time.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We've just watched a game where he had 114 creatures in play, and he's got a loner mechanic going on. I'd even forgotten that was part of his deck. That's bonkers.
But again, knowing he's got that, like, it would have been fairly apparent when he had picked it up, because he would have started attacking more and trying to whittle the board state down, as opposed to like letting it build up to the point when he could critical mass his opponent, which is like what he was gaming towards that game. So stall the game out and either deck my opponent or kill him with my protection. But yeah, I mean, if he'd drawn that at any point, he could have easily whittled the board state down. And
yeah, but I had genuinely forgotten that this was a deck that we saw drafted earlier on that has a loner mechanic possibility in it.
That's pretty funny.
Oh dear. I was like, wait, what? That deck? I didn't know we were watching him.
Yeah, sure, but the other one played the way too, so...
There has to be a temptation, if you're Grimmer, to go, well, that worked out just fine. I don't really need to change anything. Or do you look at that Farbog Explorer and wipe your metaphorical brow, or even the real one, and say, yeah, glad you didn't turn up earlier?
I mean, I think you definitely do that, but at the same time, I don't think he's clearly happy it didn't show up earlier because he was at high enough life for it to work. But I don't think it poses that much of a problem for him. Like, it certainly creates a problem. He only has really like a Barter and Blood, Ghoul Flesh. He might have brought in Grave Exchange, although with the board as cluttered as it was that last time, I seriously doubt Grave Exchange is going to make it appearance.
Larsen has the look of a man who does not like the 7 cards he's got in front of him. The 6 cards he's got in front of him. The however many cards. It's 6 apparently, but it looks like he's going to keep. And we're away. Forest from Soren Larsen. 1-0 down against Jasper Grimmer.
I wouldn't be surprised if Grimmer brought in his second copy of Marrow Bats.
Yep.
Like, got to be good against Larsen. Slow enough to get to that point, and 4 powers. Pretty saucy.
Thraben Valiant. We're going to see some combat, maybe.
At least once.
Well, maybe not. Morland Inquisitor. I guess you offer a trade here.
Larsen definitely attacks. He's playing green white, and his opponent's seen combat tricks from him. There's no way he blocks that. Especially when you can untap and potentially give it first strike in the future. Get you. And Grimmer does indeed take 2. And Larsen passes the turn back.
So Grimmer will have a look.
So Grimmer's going to be able to curve out fairly well. He's got the Moonlight Geist in his hand.
Oh, and he's got a swamp at the top end, so... Yep.
Bladed Bracers, definitely important. I mean, if he gets that on his flyer, attacking for 3, I mean, it still it is completely stopped by an Angelic Wall, but we haven't seen one of those yet.
Sure. So, equip and nip in for a cheeky 3, please.
3/3 Vigilance is going to, well, definitely beef that. Oh, okay.
Block and Righteous Blow?
Possibly. His Joint Assault, I still seriously doubt he wastes that. Yeah.
Zealous Strike.
Zealous Strike, yeah.
So we go back to Larsen, who will now have a chance to hit with his own Thraben Valiant and put Grimmer to 16.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether I would have done that if I were a Grimmer. Having seen multiple combat tricks from him last time.
Yeah, so Larsen has decided, because you don't really cast Midvast Protector for no value unless you're trying to race.
Yeah.
So,
And as we see, every time someone decides they want to go off to the races, the other person says, oh, please, I like the game at a snail's pace.
Yes. How about no?
How about a 3/5 flying vigilant lifelinker? How do you feel about that?
I feel that's probably quite good.
I could not agree with you more.
So in. Yeah. And Larsen physically is being very aggressive here.
Yeah.
This is a very different Soren Larsen than we saw in game one, where yes, I'm in control, the game's going on, I like the game going long, I'm going to draw lots of cards, I'm going to outlast you. This is smash, smash, and there's a very psychological shift here in the way he's presenting himself.
Yes. Grimmer's thinking here for reasons that are a little beyond me at this point. Yeah, okay, good. He ended up taking the 4. Like, I do understand the fact that his creature could feasibly stop both of the creatures that were there, but I don't know if it's really worth it when the next turn you're going to be able to make it into a tougher, vigilant, like attacks.
A tougher and vigilanter. Yeah.
We will call it that.
Like that. And
Eaten by spiders? I didn't.
wow.
Just,
Wow.
I'll
Tempo.
take a 2 for 1, please.
Bang.
Go ahead.
Wow.
Now, Grimmer does have a play, but now, Larsen, can you sustain the
That was a
pressure?
good one.
Yep. That is a little surprising that he brought that in. Did Grimmer play the Seraph last game? There were so many creatures on the board, I've forgotten what was on his side.
Yeah, I think so eventually.
Okay. That makes the sideboard choice a lot more.
So, in they come. Let's have a trade, yes. 2 more damage. Halfway.
Yeah.
75% less than he was on in the last game.
Oh man, really?
40.
Oh man. Last card in hand.
There we go. Proper curvalicious.
This
Get to 6. You're at 10. I've got all the power. What are you doing?
You're not bartering in blood, which would be just again.
I'm going to deny death. I'm going to put counters on. It's a 4/6 life gain.
Which is still, I mean, it's certainly something, but
Yeah, you can't possibly go in with the protector now. You send in your guy, your 6/6. Oh, really? Really?
yep, you block.
Wow.
So you have 2 cloud shift. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Fine.
Wow, that's.
So
I don't know
that-
about that play though, because I
No,
mean.
but that's awesome because it means you don't get the life gain.
Well, true, but why don't you just attack him with your 6/6 and then save that cloud shift for like after your opponent might have 2 white blockers, and you cloud shift it back and give your 6/6 pro white and smash in.
Sure. He does have 2 cloud shift in the deck, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
And there is a Seraph Dawn. He draws off it because of the Harvester of Soul.
It doesn't matter if the last card in your hand is that Harvester of Souls. If
Soul of the
sorry,
Harvest.
Soul of the Harvest.
We can put those in the of Soul Harvest.
It's funny. Isn't the black creature Harvester
Yeah.
of Souls? So there's actually Soul of the Harvest and
It's
Harvester
like
of Souls.
it's a pair.
Man, weird.
That's
Draw card on
R&D
life,
for
draw
you.
card on death.
Whoa! Do we just like crack the code?
We broke it.
The Avacyn code. And it's code red right now for Jasper Grimmer.
Yeah. See, this is.
Although he's just gained some life, he's got a gigantic fly with the Seraph of Dawn.
And this is that exact situation. If Larsen had held on to that cloud shift and used it offensively instead of using it in the way that he did, he might have been able to. I mean, he would
Just
have.
couldn't ask for more, right?
Grimmer's tapped out. He'd be dead at this point.
Like the perfect draw.
Wow.
It's not bad.
Big moments here in Game 2, which has
Perfect
been
draw.
blisteringly fast.
Yes.
The real antidote to Game 1.
Well, this is like these creatures they're proactive. All of these creatures have been proactive, as opposed to last game where all the reactive creatures came down first, which caused the clogged board position, which caused them to reevaluate the eventual win condition for the game, and led to the wonderful molasses game. Still interesting though. Like, it's always interesting when like magic that appears slow and boring on the surface, like there's always little things to find out that, like watching the little interactions and the way that players make decisions, hit their like inflection points as to what they're going to try to do in the game.
This would make that would have made a great DVD extra game, where you get one of them in to talk through the game from their perspective
yeah.
as it develops.
I agree with that completely.
It's just hold on.
That appears to be near Heath Pilgrim.
Hello, more life.
So everything's life gain. So, okay, what have you got there? Huh. Okay, I'd just like to make my guy a lot bigger.
Interesting.
Alright.
And we're going to see a right.
Okay.
No.
We both can
Okay, so that sort of finishes
Good.
things off. So the board's a lot clearer again. Temporarily.
We do know if these guys can do anything, it is add creature to the board.
Yeah. 10 plays 24. The window may be closing for Soren Larsen in this phase of the game. Borderland Ranger.
Draw 2.
So let's stack this so I get the best value. So I'll stack that, followed by Borderland Ranger, which means I get to search out my land first, which means I have a higher concentration of action to draw.
Yep.
I assume that's what's going on here.
Yeah, I'll definitely take my 1.5% edge. I'm very bad at math within this weekend, so anybody out there who actually knows that and is chiding me for not knowing the exact number, I don't care. But yeah.
So there's the forest, and it goes to get. And then there'll be a shuffle and a cut.
Yes, yes.
And then that excellent rare Soul of the Harvest, he said correctly, will net Soren Larsen another card. And again, you just see the way he's flicking those cards in his hand. It's a super aggressive Soren Larsen. But the cards on the table tell the story, not the body language. Not this time.
Though often the cards on the table lead to the body language.
Sure.
When you're in a seemingly dominating position, this definitely leads to a lot of people to do that. Because as everyone knows, winning is awesome, and it makes you feel good. This is a fun decision. Do I attack with my 6/6 into your 6 power creatures?
Okay.
Apparently, I do. Now, we know, Larsen doesn't, that there is just a swamp in hand for Grimmer.
True.
Grimmer is going to bite. Order it like this, and away we go. Yep, he's just going to let it. Turns out that all that extra card draw didn't win him the game in the first time, so maybe he's just... Okay, pass the turn.
Again, that's another thing. I don't know if I would have done that there.
Grimmer's up to 14 now.
When the game, you've got the advantage at this point, and you seriously have enough mana to really go off, I probably would have just kept that guy safe, waited a couple turns till it built up a significant enough advantage, and turned it
Yeah, but he
it's so hard to tell.
he never found that point though, did he? In game one, because that was his plan. It was like let's just out attrition you.
Very true.
But here he gets rid of at least some of the life gain. As we see, might as well put you back down to 22, but it's 10 plays 22. There's 4 power of guys coming in again. Grimmer's going to drop to 6. I'm a little surprised he actually attacked, but I guess he just decided I will not block this turn,
exactly.
So might as well draw. He really needs to pair these up. Yeah. Oh, sending again. Interesting.
Go ahead.
So what has he got?
Nothing.
Again, just nothing?
Yeah.
No banishing anything? No, just...
Might have banished.
Okay, Righteous Blow to kill off the Borderland Ranger. So that functionally gets him an extra turn. Yeah. As we go, put you to 4. And now, has Larsen got anything else? Well, it's an island. That doesn't really count as anything else.
And that appeared to be...
Grimmer has mana. It's a Crypt Creeper.
Good enough.
Join them up. I'd like to attack, but his Righteous Blow takes it out. No life gain for you. Crypt Creeper up against Mid-Vast Protector. This is magic I can get behind. 1 creature on either side of the table. Life totals at 20 or below. It's like proper magic. Mid-Vast Protector. In. Put you to 2. Now what?
Now
Anything big is surely game.
Sure.
It's Farbog Explorer.
Demonic Rising.
No.
Land Rising.
Good game. It's 1-1. Wow.
Yeah, that was definitely in a completely different vein than the previous game that we saw.
Yeah. Soren Larsen comes back to make it 1-1. And in the end, he went, I would rather just get your Seraph of Dawn into the graveyard and start getting rid of your potential lifelink, even at the cost of my Soul of the Harvest.
Definitely, Soul of the Harvest is one of those cards, like, I mean, as we saw in the last two games, like, if you draw it at the appropriate time and in the appropriate situation, like, it's always good, but it just absolutely shines. Like, it was really, really shining right there when he used it effectively to establish, like, a relatively long-term control. I would love to see him have it stick around a little bit longer, but it did certainly serve a wonderful purpose there, clearing the board for him and enabling him to start to attack. Where in the previous game, it came down fairly late. There was already a creature stall on, and once the creature stall got to that point, it seemed that Grimmer had switched to looking at decking him as an option to win the game, and with that the case, it made it just a little bit more difficult for him to take full advantage of it. And I am joined now by not Rich Hagan. This is his booth companion for most of the weekend, Frank Larsen. How's it going?
Pretty good. This quarterfinal is taking quite a long time, so I figured I would replace Rich Hagan to give him at least a little break, since he's been on for pretty much all day. Yeah, it's been some grueling games, it seems so far, really drawn out. And the other semifinals has already started because the player, why wait for this?
No joke. I mean, looking at the other decks, like, most of the other decks are aggressive decks, and these happen to be like the two, like, if you could call them controlling decks, like these are the two control decks that like exist in the top 8, and they're unfortunate enough to get paired up against one another. So,
indeed, with lots of live gain going on, and the Soul of the Harvest making like big attrition type games. Yeah, you're running into a long game. But games have been good so far, I believe.
Yeah, like the first game was just one of those games where every time that one player got an advantage and could start attacking, the other player played some defensive card that was able to shut it down, and it led to just this incredibly large, complex board, which, I was talking to Rich about this, even matches that seem outwardly boring, like, as each card slowly ticks down off the top of his deck, like, it's actually fairly suspenseful, and it's interesting to see how players adapt to those game states. Like, you could tell the turn that Grimmer decided, I'm going to go for a deck now instead of going to actually try to defeat my opponent, like, through damage. And it was interesting when he realized, you know what, actually I can backpedal and go for the win via damage instead, and just watching those inflection points over the course of the match was just very, very interesting at this point.
True, it's a type of game plan that I've hardly seen at all in this limited format yet. I've seen some players with Stern Mentor decks and other like dedicated mill cards, but it's quite rare that the game actually takes so long and is so drawn out that it might actually come down to decking. It's pretty rare.
And always interesting to see. Yeah, take a look at the deck list. You haven't had an opportunity to take a look through these yet.
Well, I typed all of them up,
So
although when you're typing up the deck list, you're not really looking at what's actually going on with the decks.
Numbers and
So
words.
it's good to get an actual view on it now.
Excellent. We definitely had some interesting tricks from Larsen's deck that enabled him, like, he actually decided the last game that he was going to be the aggressor. He had the draw that was faster, curved out fairly well, had some nice tricks with Cloud Shift and the Midvest Protector that he was able to put together, force through a little bit. He was also missing some of the cards that kind of drew the game out to be more of a stalling game this game. He didn't have the Angelic Walls, may not be on the deck anymore, even now that he knows his opponent has a relatively slow deck as well. And didn't have the Nightshade Peddler, which also significantly decreased the speed of the deck.
That makes a lot of sense, especially when your opponent is trying to win with cards like Gold Knight Redeemer and Demonic Rising. Your Angelic Walls are not really going to have a big impact on the game, so wouldn't be surprised if those were boarded out indeed.
Alright, game starts off no 2-drop on Grimmer's side. Larsen with an opportunity for his third Thraben Valiant in a row, but doesn't have it, so...
A relatively slow start. Players not really eager to get into a semifinals anytime soon.
I don't know. When you're having this much fun, why would you want to stop?
Indeed, it's not every day you get to play in the top 8 of a GP.
Yep. Make it last.
Yep, make the most of the opportunity. So first creature of the game coming down for Larsen, a Borderland Ranger.
I'm such a big fan of that card. Like, I was very pleased when you were doing your common breakdown list earlier, where you had him ranked. Like, I mean, I think it's exactly where he deserves to be. Just incredibly versatile, very powerful card, innocuously so.
Exactly, I think I had him as well, like the 6th or the 7th best common in the entire set. Second best green common, just behind Trusted Force Mage. But it's such a great package for 3 mana. Like a 2/2 for 3 is already a fine deal, but you get a lot of, well, not only card advantage, but also the opportunity to fix your mana off of it. And stable mana base are something that I like a lot, and it's made possible by Borderland Ranger.
Yep. And it serves a wonderful purpose in Larsen's deck as well, being the more controlling type. Like 2/2 body, like it can attack if your opponent doesn't have anything like Grimmer, but I mean, it serves to trade against a good majority of the creatures that are going to come down in the early start of the game, which is exactly what he wants in general. Like, keep the board state as limited as possible until he's capable of gumming it up the way that he wants.
Absolutely. So Jasper gets to play a first card, dealing with the Borderland Ranger.
Ooh, and we talked after the first game about how important it was that Farbog Explorer came down in the early turns of this game, and here it is on turn 4.
Indeed, Swamp Walk. That's gonna be a big deal.
Grimmer has very little as far as dedicated removal capable of taking care of it. Barter and Blood, I believe, is the only card that I saw that directly takes care of it. So that Banishing Stroke as well. That will directly take care of it.
Yeah, with some creativity, he might also use Ghoul Flash and Righteous Blow in combination.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not really how you would like to deal with a Farbog Explorer.
And
Grimmer's still not doing anything. He must have lots of expensive cards in his hand. He has a bunch of 6-drops in his deck,
yeah,
like a duo of Gold Knight Redeemer.
yeah. But to his credit, I mean, Larsen is not putting on an incredible amount of pressure here. So after seeing the last couple of games, keeping a hand that had some of that top end stuff isn't necessarily going to be as punishing as it would be against a lot of the more aggressive opponents.
Exactly. I must say this game is flowing much more differently than many of the games I've seen today so far. Ooh, Barter and Blood.
Well, that explains a lot.
That explains why Jasper was not doing much. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I think he does have, Jasper does have a bunch of creatures in hand, but was just waiting for the Border and Bot opportunity.
Yeah. I believe Grimmer, I think he got that 7th pick or so in the draft. No one seemed to want to be the guy to move into black. And I saw a flurry of cards passed in pack 1 that Barter was the first one that really made me take notice, where I would have been like, I should probably be in black here. And it continued to travel all the way around the opposite of the table to get to him.
That's actually often how it goes with the black cards, because there are not many super high pick black cards that you would readily take first or second pick. So most players are not really, they're more like in other colors and looking for cards in those colors that match their first couple of picks, which is typically not black. And yeah, that is why a card like Barter and Blood, which is really a premium black card, can travel all the way around the table.
Well, you see, both players have a couple of creatures in play. Grimmers are all attached in one creature with the Malville twins, while Larsen has a Griff Vanguard that has already gotten in for 3 points of damage, and a Geist Trappers, which has come down but not paired up, waiting for a better friend to keep the skies safe and clear.
Of course, Griff Vanguard is already able to block Flyer, since, well, it has flying itself, so not much use in giving reach to it, and it's not like Soren needs to give reach to his Geist Trappers at the moment, as Jasper doesn't have any flyers of his own yet.
Right.
Yep. 4.
But even though the reach does not seem to matter all that much at the moment, the 3-5 body is pretty huge, since it does stop the Melfeld twins from getting through, while Soren is still able to fly over for damage in the air at the moment.
And even though Jasper's seen combat tricks out of Soren, Soren has also seen them out of Jasper, so it doesn't seem like a wonderful spot, especially with the commander in your
So
hand
obvious.
to make the attack in.
Just a bond. Yep.
Although now, due to the Gold Knight commander, the Melfeld twins becomes a 5-5.
This is going to be a Zealous strike.
Looks like it. Reconsidering whether he wants to play it. Blocking first before playing the Zealous
Yep,
strike.
sure.
Seems reasonable,
Yes. Yep.
especially with a single black untapped. Human Misery could definitely be there.
Still not the best of deals because 2 new friends are appearing.
It's unfortunate that he wasn't able to combine those with an actual other ongoing attack, but
Ooh, yeah, because you do get the Gold Knight Redeemer or Gold Knight the Commander
Oh,
triggers
sure.
rather. But yeah, that doesn't really matter if you have already attacked that turn.
if you got another creature coming in, Zealous Strike does give first strike, so it would die, and then the other creatures would have the opportunity to get
Ooh,
for
yeah.
regular damage on them, but not the case here.
Sure. 12.
Flyer still attacking unopposed. And it seems like Soren would be able to cast a couple of creatures to stave off the attacks of Jasper.
Yeah.
As long as he can keep the Gold Knight commander under control, he should be fine. But given that Jasper doesn't have that many cards in his hand anymore, it doesn't look like he can get multiple triggers off of it in one turn.
Right.
Or at least currently he will need 3 triggers to get a creature to 5 power, able to get through Geist Trappers.
And we haven't
That's gonna be difficult.
Right. We haven't seen him capable of playing too many in one time. The other semifinal is done.
Oh wow!
Wow, and Matteo Versari, after he defeated his fellow countryman Samuel Estradi, the Pro Tour champion, secured himself a spot on the next Pro Tour, upcoming soon to return to Ravnica, and now he's found himself in the finals of the Grand Prix, awaiting the winner of this quarterfinals opponent's match against their son. I mean, there's a lot of work. He is at the end of a chain that needs to still go through one more match.
Yeah, he's gonna play the winner of the semi-finals, of which one of the players is going to be the winner of this match. Yeah, he will have some time off and to get ready and relax before the finals.
Yeah.
That might be a big advantage after like 2 full days of play, being able to take a couple of minutes off, or
Yeah.
possibly even an hour off, while your finals opponent is probably coming fresh off another grueling semi-finals.
Yeah.
He's gonna feel good about that.
Is there a point in time when you spent too long waiting for the other match to get there? I know that happens a lot in, like, you know, sports like basketball and stuff like that, where you can go cold while you're waiting. But
You shouldn't get annoyed by the wait. Yeah, you have some players that talk about being on fire and then really wanting to get in with the next match immediately. But after playing for 2 days of GP, I think some rest is more important.
and limited days are long, very long. There's the extra time put in for build,
Yep.
and we did 3 drafts today.
So in the meantime, Defy Death has brought back Melfeld twins, which now again becomes a 5-5, just like before. And well,
Also appears
Jasper is also thinking about maybe attacking with all of his creatures. Nope, doesn't go for that.
there's a 5/5 lifelinker right
Another
now.
Zealous Strike.
Another Zealous Strike. This is exactly the same thing all over again.
Again, if he'd been attacking with another creature, cool
Indeed.
things could have happened.
Now it could have actually mattered a lot, actually, because if he had swung in with his entire team, that would have been a big boost for many creatures.
Except for at that point, I find it unlikely that Larsen would knowingly first strike his guy. So this is all completely visual, like it's onboard information. So it wouldn't have been a surprise.
Fair enough. Still, my initial instinct, looking at the board state of Jesper, would be to, well, attack with all of the creatures, except for the Gold Knight commander.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, perhaps you lose, say, a zombie token to the Geist Trappers, but you will get in for a lot of damage, and Soren doesn't have any really good blocks.
No, I mean, he's got, other than the Trappers, he's got a 2 toughness creature and a 1 toughness creature that are back on defense. Like, at this point, swarming him is a reasonable option. I mean, there's a point, like there's definitely a breaking point when you want to stop just playing for value off of your commander and getting as many extra points of power as possible and just simply...
Right, and it's not like he has a lot of time left on the clock.
Right.
He's already down to 9 life, facing a 3 power flyer without an answer to it. So when your opponent is at 20 and attacking you with an unblockable creature, yeah, you need to try something to win the game.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if Jasper draws a creature now, he would like to make all of his guys bigger and attack with all of them. But if he does that, he also has to be careful that he doesn't die immediately on the backswing from Soren.
Yeah. The one benefit...
No, but he's just drawing a string of lands at the moment, not really giving him a way to claw back into the game at the moment.
If he'd managed to find himself another creature and been able to attack there, he would have had 6 points of lifelink, potentially, to...
He's going to have to attack with his lifelinkers this turn in order to stay alive.
Yeah. At least the 2/2.
At least a zombie, for sure.
And again, that's another thing. Like, even if he's not going to attack with everything, like, I mean, attacking with a couple of zombies and knowing that you're going to get at least 2 points of damage, or 2 points of life gain. If he kills your lifelink one, you can just pair up your Nearheath Pilgrim with the next creature that you play.
Exactly. Quick note from the other semifinals. It was won again with an infinite reflection on his Ledge Seeker this time around, making all your guys unblockable. Wow, this infinite reflection is such an amazing card, allowing incredible stuff reminiscent of Mirror Reef.
I've seen people play it all weekend and never actually playing in their decks, but I've never actually seen it cast. It seems like it's got just an immense amount of potential. It's splashable too, right? Because it's only a single blue in its casting cost?
Yeah, exactly.
That's insane.
So in the meantime in the match, basically what we discussed, attacking with the life-linking zombie, did happen. But he didn't send in the rest of his team. Still a bit of a conservative play. Not too sure about that. But he did draw as his creature Seraph of Dawn, which is now holding the Griff Vanguard at bay.
And at this point, especially considering the 2 toughness of the Vanguard, I really don't see a reason not to send more creatures in here. It'd be nice. I mean, it'd be very nice to have another creature, but you put a lot of pressure.
You would never like to run, say, a 2/2 or 3/2 into a card like Geist Trappers, but if in the process you get to deal a lot of damage to your opponent, or forcing him to chump block one of your other creatures, it's not that bad. At the same time, Soren got a quick glimpse at his hand. Is holding a lot of creatures in his hand. In fact, it seems like he's saving them for when he draws Soul of the Harvest.
Yeah.
He knows that the game might take a long time again. Then when he finds that 6/6 creature, he wants to be able to, well, immediately play some additional guys to start drawing cards again.
Yeah. We learned that for the cup. There's a Bloodflow Connoisseur coming in from Humor, and it will now be the new bearer of lifelink. As we learned in the last couple of games, cluttered board states like this tend to favor Grimmer because he has more of the mass impact cards like the Riders of Gavany and the commander, whereas Larsen, if I'm not mistaken, Larsen doesn't have like that big finisher that like really rewards him from getting to that end game where you need a big punch. Like he doesn't have the behemoth that we saw from Nico Boni earlier.
Yeah, Nico Boni, I remember, also had like a Soul of the Harvest deck,
Yeah.
but indeed he did have big things to draw into, ensuring that he would always win the long game.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you said, there doesn't seem to be a lot that Soren can really get to. Oh, he does have Qatar's Crusade, right?
Yes.
Now that is a card that can help, also a reason to keep additional creatures in your hand. So another Griff Vanguard coming down for Soren. He's drawing cards, really a flurry of cards. Abundant Growth, Griff Vanguard, digging through his deck to find one of these impact cards, like Qatar's Crusade or Soul of the Harvest.
Yeah. And you know, Larsen has not shown Crusade yet. He hasn't drawn it in the match. So
so Jasper doesn't even know it's going to be there? Wow.
Which is, I mean, if he knew, he would definitely have been attacking with his creatures a lot longer ago. Although.
So Jasper did he play a creature this turn? He didn't.
No.
So why would he consider attacking with all of his guys? Demonic Rising?
Yes.
That's a nice one. Still, going down to one creature, then getting another creature. Well,
attacking with everybody is not too terrible here. If his like ultimate goal is to see what happens and then sacrifice guys to his Bloodflow Connoisseur, I mean, it does have lifelink right now, so this will be a massive life swing for him, and it could potentially put him down to the point when the Demonic Rising like becomes like a relevant post-combat card.
Sure. If he would do that, he would go up to, well, a bunch of life based on all his lifelinkers. He would be left with probably a big Bloodflow Connoisseur, which would be the only creature left standing, in combination with the Demonic Rising, which makes a demon.
And an outlet every single turn to make sure that you get the fresh 5/5 demon.
But then we discount the Devout Chaplain that's still on the board. If that would remain in play, it can just shoot down the enchantment and ruin Jasper's play.
Yeah.
Unless Soren would block in a way that he would lose many of his humans, but that seems unlikely.
And again, the best strategy to prevent that from happening would have been to attack with more creatures, because at that point you can ensure that if assuming Larsen does choose to block, at that point you can sacrifice the creatures that aren't going to kill off that chapter.
True. So it seems like Geist Trapper has blocked the Bloodflow Connoisseur. Jasper sacrificed a bunch of creatures to it to grow to, well, a big enough size. And looks like it. But Soren has the Cloud Shift to save his Geist Trappers.
And prevent the lifelink.
Yep. Yeah, when given that Jasper is already down to 3 life, stopping that lifelink is pretty big here. Because if the creature's not there, there's nothing to deal damage to anymore.
The quick creature count also reveals 3 untapped creatures for Jasper and 5 for Soren.
Though Jasper does have Seraph of Dawn, which can, well, gain some life back.
But, assuming he doesn't have a trick.
Assuming he doesn't have anything.
He's dead on board.
With Qatar's Crusade, he might be dead on the board, given that Soren still has some creatures, which I'm pretty sure he still has.
Yeah.
There's one. Put a +1/+1 counter on all of my guys.
Oh, my bad.
Every single one of them. Jasper cannot be happy seeing that card appear.
Yeah.
I think it's already lethal. Even if Soren would not have another creature to go with it, he can just attack with all of his guys, and given that, well, if Jasper wouldn't have anything, that would be well, enough damage to kill him.
Minimum 4, looks like.
But still, at this point, you want to make sure. This is, of course, a decision that will take you into the semifinals if everything goes correctly.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you don't screw up the combat mat at this point. And also have to think about, well, does Jesper have any tricks or something? But nope, he's just going in with all of his creatures.
Yeah, I mean, he's seen Banishing Stroke, but it's highly unlikely that he doesn't just cast it on the Cathar's Crusade in response to the creature. So.
Makes sense. So Jesper also doing the math to see, can I survive somehow this turn? I get some life with the Seraph of Dawn and the Nearheat's Pilgrim. Still, you can go up to 7 with the life link, and then you still get 7 damage at least.
He won't
So
gain the damage before, like, the damage that hits him kills him, though, right? Like it all
No.
happens simultaneously?
It all happens simultaneously, so you go up to 7 and get the combat damage immediately.
Yep.
So Righteous Blow, making sure that he doesn't
that'll
even
do it.
gain the additional life, and that's game. Soren Larsen wins a grueling quarterfinals. Must have been one of the longest games on camera in a long while.
That's very true. And you could see the look on his face. There's exhale,
Yeah,
wide-eyed.
absolutely.
So
Amazing game.
This is how our top 8 bracket is working out right now. As you can see, we already have one entire half of our bracket decided, with Perez Muntal beating David Hillander and Estradi falling to Matteo Versari, who ultimately triumphs over Muntal and makes it way to the finals with his blue-green-red mid-range deck. We also have Oscar Almgren Bragaro, who was waiting for, why did you read that? Oscar Almgren, who had defeated Westberg and is now going to be playing Grimmer in the semifinal match on the opposite side.
Now, Frank Carsten, before you go, I've got a complaint.